Good evening everyone, GM Crafts here. We're live with you this evening. I promised you last week when we did our Easter mystery boxes unboxing video lives that I would bring you a demonstration tonight. Tonight's demonstration is based on the cut file and blog that we've just uploaded for you today. If you would like the link to that, I'll refer to it a couple of times for those that tune in over the period of the live. But if you want the live blog with the live cut files and all the tutorials to go with it, please comment and one of my colleagues will gladly send you the link whilst I'm talking to you this evening. And if there's any questions you've got at all, again, please comment or send us a message. There is no silly question. There's just questions that haven't been answered. So if there's anything you'd like to ask us whatsoever, please either send us a message or comment on the post on this live, and of course we will gladly answer. So tonight I want to show you what we're going to make, and I've already cut some of it for you ready because you don't want to sit and watch me do 20 different cuts on the machine, but I am going to do some cuts on the machine to show you. But this will give you a hint as to what we're doing. Now when we do the cut files, some weeks it's a cut file, some weeks it's lots of cut files. Tonight there is seven different cut files in the link in the blog for you, and they all come together to create this design. But you could mix them, you could match them with other ones, you could just use parts of them. One of the ones which I really love from this design is these lips. You love, everywhere I go on social media, we did a similar design without the drips but split lips on a t-shirt using our animal print a while ago, which you all loved. So this is another step on from that for you. So you could just use this lips cut file. You'll then see we've got a lemon, we've got an olive, we've got a cocktail stick. Can you see where we're going with this? I'll show you in a moment. So you could mix and match this. We've also put on this cut file two ways of using the font. So there's two different fonts, slightly different messages. And what I've done, I created the cut file that you're going to see tonight with the extra wording on it for this particular demo, but then I created the original one for the samples I'm going to show you now. There is a video on YouTube that went live today for this, so if you want to watch how this was made, because it talks you through layering HTV, we used our Pearl Shine HTV for this. I don't know whether you can see that there. So I want to talk you through how you produce this and how you make it very briefly, and the whole tutorial is on our YouTube and is on the blog with the cut files for you. I used 6 different colours to create this bag. And can you see how sparkly it is? It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And it says good time guaranteed. Now for tonight's demonstration, I've used Oracal 6.3. We're going to use Oracal 6.3.8. And to simplify it on camera, I'm going to do it on this board. But this is designed for you to create canvases, it's designed for you to create boards for your wall, it's designed to go on your walls, it's designed for your cocktail bars, your outdoor dining areas, it's designed for your hen parties, and just because you like a martini maybe. It's an ideal thing that you could also make as a Mother's Day gift if your mum particularly likes martinis, shaken, not stirred. The choice is really up to you. So we use that as for the bag, but I also want to show you we created a t-shirt with it. Folded it up so it's got crease on it now. Should have left that straight for you. But this was the t-shirt we created. So again, using the Pearl Shine HTV, and we used the orange, we used a lavender colour, we used a dark purple, we used a lemon, we used a green, and then we used the blue. You know, you could use whatever vinyl you like, but the blog talks you through specifically layering this vinyl. Whilst layering this vinyl, or any vinyl for that matter, there's some really good tips and techniques on our website, talks you through how to do it. So if you would like help with that, if you always feel a bit lost, or if you feel like you could do with somebody to give you a guiding hand, please do shout. We'll send you the blog links. There's some really good layering techniques and blogs on the website, not just for this design. We did a Santa sack with a whole mix of different HTVs. I can see that some of you have joined us this evening. I'm struggling to see names. Dan from Personalised Crafts. Hi Dan. I can see Emma. I can see Kat. Hi Maureen. Kat again. Oh, there's Diane. I'm sorry, I've got my camera above my head, so I'm just trying to tiptoe to watch at the same time. So apologies for that. Have you any questions? Shout, let me know. I'd love to hear what you think to this idea. What else would you like us to do? We do a cut file, we do a blog, we do tutorials every week for you now. And this is your opportunity to tell us what you would like to see. I will promise to pick at least one of the ideas you put forward. I will bring you something that you really want to see. So tell us what it is you'd like to see and I will do that for you. Can't guarantee it'll be next week because I actually have a plan for you for next week, but it will be very soon. So please do shout. So that's your pearl shine and that's layering your HTV. Now on to tonight. We're using Oracal 638. The reason I've chose this, have you seen the Easter boxes? In the self-adhesive Easter box, which seems to be going crazy, is part of the range of Oracal 638. Now, I don't know whether you watched the video of the unboxings, but I chose these colours deliberately for you. And I wanted you to have things that you can create Easter designs with, spring designs, summer designs. And I'm going to bring you, over the next 6 to 8 weeks, lots of cut files, lots of demos, lots of tutorials on things you can do with those boxes. So please do grab them whilst we still have them because they are limited stock. Don't forget, the self-adhesive one is 10% off if you buy it with the HTV one. So just something to be aware of there. I know somebody the other day said to me they brought one and they were going to buy the other next week. Maybe that's how you need to do it, but if you can buy them together, obviously you'll get that extra 10% off the self-adhesive. So, before we move on, so I've cut these, so I'll show you what vinyls I've cut these out of. So I've cut the lips, and I've cut the lips out of the pastel orange. Can you see I've scribbled on my vinyl roll? I always do this. As a crafter, I try and keep my craft room really organised. I don't know about you, but it can get out of hand really easily, can't it? So whenever I use a new vinyl, I test cut, which I'll talk to you about in a minute. And then when I've opened a vinyl like I've used this today, I mark the back of the label and I always try and keep the labels on it and I keep them in a sealed dark box so that when I go to pick it out the box later, I'm not frustrated that it wasn't a whole roll and I maybe needed it for a big design. So at least I know. So that's one thing to be aware of. So I've made the lips out of the pastel orange. I've made the lemon slice. I mean, this is just a gorgeous colour. These are both in your mystery box. This is a light yellow for the lemon. Now these two are not in your mystery box, but the next two we're going to cut in a moment are. But these are out of our stock already, but I had to use these because I just think they really do suit the design and I love them. Olive, it's got to be this one really, hasn't it? And it is called Olive. You've got to have an olive coloured olive, haven't you? And I love this hot pink, and it's actually called just pink, but it is like a hot pink. And I think for the cocktail stick, you'll see in a minute with either two colours I've chosen, I think it really does suit it really well. So they're the ones I've already cut, and I wanted to cut a couple with you so you could see that it wasn't just a lucky fluke. Now I know you've probably seen us do lots of different demonstrations on YouTube, on our blog, some of them are on our Facebook, but you don't normally get to see them live and you don't normally get to see if I make any mistakes, which occasionally I do, but I think it's really good to show you that what we do and how we do it, and if you get a problem, I hope we don't tonight, you never know, but if we do, we'll talk about how we remedy it. So they're the ones I've already cut and weeded because you didn't want to watch me do that all night, and these are the two that we're going to cut. And now we're going to cut the martini glass out of this gorgeous lavender colour, which is called Lilac, and then we're going to cut the new wording, which you've not seen because it's not all the wording that's quite on the bags, out of this mint. So that's what we've done. Now, when I set my machine up, again, you'll see it on the blogs. I always cover screenshots and how to test cut. I always talk about how to load the files into your machine. So I will show you very briefly what my screen looks like so you can see it. This is my screen. Don't know whether you can see that. I'm flying blind here, so I hope you can see that well. I always make sure I've got the machine setting there. Now please bear in mind, we do have a test cut blog. If you want the link for that, tell us what machine you've got, we'll send you that. And that talks you through the settings and how to adjust, how to create custom settings, etc. Because do bear in mind that these settings are Cricut settings for their product. So if their product changes, they will change the setting. It's not a problem. Our blog tells you how to resolve that, but that is something to bear in mind. So the setting I use at present for the 638 is Premium Outdoor Vinyl Default. It's on our blogs, so you don't have to worry about remembering. If you need reminding or whatever, just give us a shout. And then I've clicked Remember Material Settings because it'll be all for the same. And you can see these are the ones I've already cut here because they've got a tick on them. And these are the two files I'm going to cut with you now, okay? Now on our blog, we do have how to clean your machine. And I just very quickly want to talk to you about that, very quickly. I don't want to go on about it all night, but I think it's something we should all discuss and discover. Cleaning a machine keeps it in tip-top condition. Bear in mind, like you've got 20 animals in your house and you've got a hoover, it's like cleaning your brushes of your hoover. If you don't clean your brushes of your hoover, the brushes on the hoover don't work quite so well. And it's the same with your machine. When you cut lots of card, lots of vinyl, you get microfibres, micro bits of vinyl stuck in your rollers occasionally, and it just for 2 seconds, it's worth keeping your machine clean. So I always get a piece of A4 paper. Don't panic, you don't have to remember this. There is a blog. Please ask and I'll say get my colleague, or I will send you the link for this. Fold it in half, use your squeegee, burnish the crease, and you'll end up with a really tight, crisp crease. That is your tool. Open your machine. Mine's already switched on and ready to go because obviously I set it up for the demonstration, so I've got to be careful. Normally, I would advise you turn your machine off. Hold it, flick this through the mechanism. So you would literally flick it through, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards, backwards and forwards. And then do the same from the reverse. Once you've done that, blow it. Then open your clamp, take your blade out. Always check your blade, so depress your button. Check your blade's got no debris in there. Make sure you don't stab yourself. I've done that so many times. Close your clamp. Blow it. Obviously I'm not going to do that now because nobody wants a picture of my inner ear. So you would blow that. You've cleaned it, you blow through your machine, and then you're good to go. If for whatever reason you are aware that you've got a piece of vinyl stuck in there, then get your torch on your phone light, shine it through, keep flicking, and you should be able to pick it up and see it. And that's how you clean your machine. Every so often I let a baby wipe go damp and dry, so that it's been sat in my craft room probably for 4 or 5 hours, so it's just very slightly damp. And then I literally get the baby wipe, I'm going to use my lint-free cloth for now, and I would literally clean my machine, make sure the rollers are all clean, rub around, and just keep on top of it like that. It just means then your machine's always perfect and you haven't got to worry about any bits of vinyl stuck anywhere or dust getting stuck on your vinyl. Okay, so we've cleaned the machine, we're good to go. Cut settings. If you need any assistance with cut settings, please give us a shout. By general rule of thumb, oh, sorry, I meant to say, always try and keep your Cricut mat cover. I don't know whether you've got pets at home. It's not a brand, that's just, have you got animals at home? I have, and every time I've walked out my craft room, even just to go and answer the door or just to grab a glass of water, I come back and the little blighters have got in and stood on my mat, and then I have to start all over again. So I always keep it covered. So keep your mat covered. If you lose your sheet, use a sheet from your HTV after you finish with it. You know the carry sheet that comes with HTV? That's a great rescue. Again, that's all covered in our blog, so do give us a shout if you want the link for that. So, let me just pull up my cut setting. So I've accidentally closed the window. So I'm going to cut the wording first, so I'm going to use this. Now, in the blogs, on the tutorials, I don't get to talk to you like I am doing now, so I don't do it this way. But I'd like to show you a way of using your vinyl and wasting less. There's loads of ways, this is one. So, you know how on all of our tutorials, I've always shown you, you measure what your piece you're going to cut, you get your scissors, you cut your vinyl, you put your vinyl on your mat. Not tonight. So tonight, I'm going to show you, this is how, when I'm crafting for me, with a new roll of vinyl, or a square piece, I unroll it, I stick it on the mat, get my squeegee, that's not square, let's try again, got all excited there, missed the corner, there we go, get the squeegee, you can tell I've cleaned my mat, can't you, it's very sticky. And I roll it back and I leave the whole roll on my mat because it won't load this mat, it just loads the front portion then moves it back, so you're not bringing all of this through, but then it means you'll only cut the very top edge and then you can literally use your scissors to trim to it very closely and you're producing less waste. So that's what I would do if you've got the ability to. Some people find it easier to cut it the way I normally show you in the tutorials, and that's absolutely fine. But that's how you would reduce your waste. So let's cut this first piece. Apologies if it's a bit noisy. Hopefully it won't be too bad. See how it doesn't take it all the way through, it just takes it to the edge of the mat and it brings it back. Now if you're test cutting, let's just press play. Now this file is suitable for all cutting machines, including the Joy, but obviously you just have to bear in mind that the Joy will produce a smaller design, which is great if you're going to put it on a notebook or if you're going to put it on a smaller A4 size type project. You just shrink each piece of file down to suit. It's suitable for the Explore, the Portrait, the Cameo 4, the Graphtec, Brother Scan and Cut, and the files on the website will work with all of those machines. Now whilst this is cutting, have you got any questions? What would you really like to do next that you don't know how to do? Have you got any top tips? Now obviously tonight I'm going to put this on a board for you, which you will see, but this is ideally, if I was at home and this was easier to do than it is now, because obviously if I do it now I'd have to take the camera away, take you to a wall in my house and set the camera up again as a live. Now if I'm doing it as a video demonstration I can do that, and I have done that on some of them. There's one in the blog where you've got me putting Let Sleeping Dogs Lie on a wall using our crafty vinyl, so do have a look at that. There's one where I'm putting it on a window, and again that was crafty vinyl, that was a Christmas wreath using the Joy. But if you were using this at home and you were going to put it on the wall, what would you do? Well, first and foremost, we do have a blog that talks you through applying and removing your self-adhesive vinyl. It includes applying to a wall, all the information's there. So say hi, ask for the links and we'll send it to you. But one of the biggest rules of thumb, there's a few, is don't do it when it's freezing. Obviously, pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised. Make sure your wall is dry. If it's your wet, damp bathroom, then it may not work. I say it may not because I've actually got it in my bathroom as I've got a woodland scene that was one of those murals that you can buy, and then I wanted around the top some black and brown acorns and leaves on the edges, which I've done. And I was really concerned it would fall off because my bathroom, being as I live with lots of teenagers, etc., that, you know, somebody'd steam it off, but they haven't. But I think that's probably luck, and it is a dry room. It's just when the bath, it gets damp for a little while. Right, let's open this. So, very carefully, see how I flex the mat and the vinyl away from each other? Don't just rip at it, because that's where you'll A, rip the backing paper, and then you end up with a dirty mat, and B, you can dislodge some of the cut bits before you've weeded them. So I'll just move that to one side for a minute, and I've pulled it so you can see. And I've done it exaggeratedly so we can see on camera where the lettering is to cut. So I'm just going to trim just slightly out off the edge of that. But if you'd have cut a piece, you'd have cut a piece that was bigger than that, wouldn't you? I would, because you always doubt whether it will cover the area. So you've wasted very little on there, as you'll see when we weed it. And then before we move on, we're going to do the same again with purple for the wine, for the martini glass. And then we'll talk about how to apply to the walls in a moment. So if you're new to crafting, if you're new to vinyl, don't use your squeegee to put self-adhesive on your mat, because you can accidentally get it stuck too hard. But I've learned over the years, I'm not putting any pressure on, literally it's like fingertip, so you're just basically kissing it with a squeegee. It just stops any air bubbles, but it doesn't press it hard into the matte adhesive. So let's load that one ready to go. This will cut the wine glass. Same thing. I've got to put the vinyl on the mat as opposed to trimming it first, just in case any of you have just joined us. And that prevents us from producing waste. If you want to cut it to the size of your design, that's absolutely fine as well. But this is a great way of preserving and producing less waste where you can. It doesn't always work. Right, so going back to, we'll weed that in a moment, going back to applying to the wall. So you must make sure your wall's dry. If you've recently decorated, then check with the manufacturer of the paint that you've used to ensure that you've given it the appropriate time to degas, which is basically where the innate gases in the paint that you smell when you walk into a house that's been freshly painted have been given enough time to release. All different paint manufacturers have a different period of time, so be aware of that. If your wall is crumbly or flaky, be aware that when you remove this, it may damage the paint. Same as if your wall is old and not been painted for a long time, it may be dry and brittle when you remove it. But when you remove it, always heat it very gently with a low heat hairdryer. Even though this is a semi-permanent, it's classed as a temporary vinyl, but it isn't temporary because it's got a 2-year lifespan expectancy on a wall. And bear in mind, whenever a manufacturer gives a life expectancy of a product, they give you the least life expectancy under the probable worst conditions. So I know for a fact that it will last longer than that, provided you've applied it correctly. So again, ask for the link. I've got all the information available to you. So reflection matte away from the vinyl and the vinyl away from the matte. I've just thrown the card tube that it comes with on the floor. And then can you see, I don't know whether you can pick it up on there, pick up my other phone torch. See if that picks up for you the design on there. So we get the scissors to reduce the waste, cut to the edge of the design. And I always cut the top and the side. Turn it over because this one's got grid, so you can cut it quite straight. Knocking everything flying now. And this, again, means you can reuse this piece of vinyl and you've lost very little around the design. There you go. And then what I do is I roll this into the inside of the package. Put my sleeve over it, loosen it so it fits the label. Now all of our vinyl, self-adhesive vinyl, comes on these card cores which are recycled from our packaging, and we've done that to produce the best way for them to arrive with you, but that's a great way of keeping them stored as well. So pop that there out of the way. So we've now got very little waste. Now if I move, I'm just going to move my Cricut Maker. You don't need to see that anymore. And this is our LED weeding pad. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but I find it very helpful. Not always so easy to pick up on camera, but this is great for weeding. It's great for tracing. I don't know whether you saw last week my demonstration. I used our transfer doodle clear sheet with a pen to write my dog's names on, to put them over love hearts to create a cushion. Sadly, we lost my beloved dog last year, who was only 8. In fact, he wasn't quite 8, with leukemia. And I put him at the top of my tree on the cushion, and he used the heart transfer, weeded transfers, heat transfer ones, and I used the open empty heart because obviously I've lost him, and then I've got 4 other dogs, so I use the full hearts for them. A bit sentimental, but I think, you know, sometimes it's nice to remember them, isn't it? So I've got that in pride of place now upstairs. So when you're weeding, this is great for that, but it's also great for those kind of designs because you need to draw on it, turn it over and do it on the back. There's a great tutorial, I've shown you how to do it on the blog. If you want the link for the hearts memorial cushion, you don't have to use it for a memorial cushion. You could use it for a family tree, you could use it for grandkids' names to give to mum for Mother's Day. There's all sorts of uses, and there's loads of hints and tips on what you could do with it on that blog. So do comment if you want the hearts tutorial with the transfer doodles. So, weeding. When you weed, first thing I always do, I use our weeding tweezers. They've got a really sharp, I don't know whether I don't want to stab the camera, and I don't know if it will focus for you, but they've got a really sharp edge. But they're really good for hooking in. It takes very little effort. See how it just hooks in? It takes very little effort. And you can get in around your vinyl. There you go. It's great for the big pieces. Then it's really good for little pieces as well. So that's our wine glass, martini glass. You could use it as a cocktail glass. You could use it as a champagne glass. Now, this font is lovely. Now, don't panic if you weed like that and a piece comes with it. It's because I flexed it when I was pulling it off the mat to exaggerate it, to show you on camera. So just roll it back, rub it back, and then go again. Vinyl, if you go slowly and steadily, it's very forgiving, and don't panic if it goes wrong. You can always recut, you can always re-roll, you can always revisit. It's very warm in my craft room as well tonight because I've got lights on to make it more bright for you to see, because it's very dark tonight. Mind you, I'm not complaining because the wind's gone down. What it's like in your area, it's been awful here. Nearly there. And that's a really good thing about this light pad, is you can see as you roll before it's too late if it's stuck or if it's lifting, so you don't lose or damage your design. Now, if you have this issue at home and you haven't flexed it like I did, and it lifts, see I've lost the G, top of my G there for good, and there, that's okay, don't panic, it will still be on the vinyl. But if you have this problem at home, it will be because you've overcut it. You need to reduce your, there's one, you need to reduce your pressure. So whereas I've used default on this, if this happened to you and you hadn't flexed it to exaggerate it on camera like I just have, that's my N edge, then you would need to reduce it down to less pressure. But as you can see, it's not a problem. You can fix it. So, good times guaranteed. Play on word, obviously, for martini. Good times guaranteed. So, good times guaranteed. Don't have to use this saying. Obviously, you can make your own. But this is the one I've chose to create for you for the design tonight. So, I'm going to move the LED pad away. Now, transferring app tape. Different people call it different things. As you can see, I've already done a bit of that ready tonight. And I've done this on purpose because we have lots of app tape. If you want the link for our app tape, please shout and one of us will send it to you. App tape is really helpful for transferring your vinyl. Bear in mind there are certain vinyls that you cannot transfer with app tape. and that is inkjet printed or laserjet printed vinyl, so you would end up pulling the ink off as you were transferring it, so just be aware of that. Same with sublimation. It just wouldn't work because the ink hasn't had time to cure and it sits on the surface of the vinyl. So app tape, we've got lots, but tonight I'm using our reusable yellow gridded, well, it's red grids on a yellow backer. We have this in the Easter mystery box, self-adhesive box, along with the clear gridded reusable, and it's a medium tack. It's not graded as a medium tack, it's just a reusable, because this one being reusable, once you've used it, will eventually become low tack, so it's just something to be aware of. But if you need something urgently as low tack, you can fluff it on your jumper, okay? So do that before you apply it to your vinyl, otherwise you'll be fluffing your vinyl as well. So to transfer, I've already done it on this one here. I'll show you on here. You get your vinyl, you get your app tape. Now, I like this one, and the reason why I wanted to show you it and discuss it with you tonight, I did mention it in the unboxing last week, is this vinyl is ideal if you want to reuse your weeded waste. We do have a tutorial on reusing HTV weeded waste. Again, if you'd like the link for that, please say. But this is ideal because of the red grid behind. You can line up, so for example, say you were going to weed, you'd taken that out of a rectangle and you were going to use the rectangle, but then you wanted to reuse that for a different design, then you can use those red lines to line up your letters against, and that gives you a perfect lineup. So you would weed it and then you would apply it onto there before transferring it later. So this is one of my favourite vinyls for that process. And it's also a very good generic transfer for self-adhesive vinyl. So use it, get your design, lay the app tape. I'm going to get stuck in a minute because I've got it caught on my jumper then. On the vinyl. Smooth it with your fingers. Don't panic if you get an air bubble, because as long as your vinyl's not got the air bubble, it won't transfer on your final design. Squeegee it once. Turn it over. Trim it. And get your squeegee on the back, rubbing quite firmly to transfer the vinyl. Now if you do it on the front, occasionally when I've got intricate designs, which I'll show in a minute on the lemon, you can, but you still need to turn it over, because what you want to do is push the vinyl into the app tape, not the other way around. If you did it that way around, you're just pushing it back onto its liner, which means you'll never get it off. So once you've done that and you're happy, roll it back and your transferred design is ready. I'm just going to move that to one side. We'll do the letters and wording next. Now if you're going to send this to a customer in the post, this is ideal because you can transfer it. I'll show you what you would do. Close your yellow sheet over it. Trim your sheet. And then you've got yellow behind it after you've removed the backer. So keep your yellow to one side. Again, same thing again, squeegee. Always do from the centre out. Bit like when you're putting an iPhone screen protector or other phones on the market, obviously. And then roll it back. Don't rip it off like a plaster. Roll it back on itself. It produces less pressure and just helps lift it without, if you've got a bit stuck or not stuck, it won't tear and it won't displace then either. So you've rolled that back and you've got it transferred perfectly. Now if you're going to use it like how we are today, you'd leave it like that. But if you're going to send that in the post to your customer, then you would put that over the back of it, get your squeegee on there, and then that's good to go in the post. Obviously you'd use a cardboard envelope, but you can send that then to your client. We're not doing tonight, so I'll take that off and put it to one side. Now at this point, if you're applying it to a wall, always do you transfer first. So get your vinyl ready to transfer over, and then do your final wall prep or your final glass, brick, cup, whatever it is you're going to apply to the last bit, which is using pure alcohol. A lot of you will say, I've used rubbing alcohol wipes, I've used alcohol wipes, I've used prep wipes, I've used glass wipes, I've used opti something wipes. They all have a form of lanolin in to keep them as a wipe. Please don't use them because you'll create a film over your chosen surface and then you'll wonder why it fails. So always use pure rubbing alcohol. I've had this one bottle for over a year. On all of our self-adhesive vinyl blogs, all of our cut files that use self-adhesive, there is a link to where you get this from. So please don't panic, it's not expensive and it's lasted me a very long time, and I do 3 or 4 projects a week minimum with this. So it is very, very cost effective. It's easy to keep in the cupboard. I always use a lint-free cloth. Now the one I'm using tonight is actually from my glasses case, because I do wear glasses, but I tend to use these because I can throw them in the wash. You can buy them glass, as in eyeglass cloths. They're lint-free, they've got a satin finish to them, and you can just pop them in the wash. So I've got quite a few of these in my drawer, and they don't take up any room. And if you lose one and find it later, it's not the end of the world because you've got 3 or 4 more. So I find that really helpful. So ordinarily, I would do this at the end of doing the next stage with these, but I want to do this so it can dry so I can show you. So if you were doing this normally, you would transfer all your vinyl, get it all ready on your app tape, then wipe your wall down and leave it a couple of minutes to dry. The reason you do it at the very end is surface contaminants can settle very quickly, especially in an environment on a wall where it tends to suck the dust to it naturally. So get your rubbing alcohol. Child safety caps, don't you love them? Get a bit on your wipe and literally rub your surface. And you can rub your surface over and over again. And if you're doing it on a glass or a bottle, I've got a piece of sellotape stuck to that then. If you're rubbing it on something, it will lift all the sticky residues, it will dust, it will remove any hidden barriers. Washing up liquid's another one people talk about using a lot. Oh, I've used washing up liquid. Again, washing up liquid will leave a barrier. I've got a bit of sticky there. There you go, that's got it. And that's it. It dries really quickly. And by the time we've now just about doing the next 2 rubbing over the app tapes, it will be gone. So that's what I would do normally at home after we've done this next step. So while that's drying, I'll talk to you about transferring these. So I've put these on the app tape ready because I didn't want to be boring you all night with it. Get your squeegee. Trim with your scissors. Now you could, again, if you were sending this to a client, leave it like that. So it's very versatile. Rub your stick. So that's your cocktail stick good to go. Your olive. Don't panic if you damage your backing. As long as you've got your transfer on straight, that's no problem. Then the lemon. Now the lemon, I just wanted to talk about this. I did this in a video the other day. If you have a really intricate design, and can you see, I don't know whether you'll be able to see it on there, but the app tape has created like a bubble all the way around it. Now, if this is okay because this is quite a light vinyl, but if you were using a heavier vinyl, like a metallic, that would make it harder to transfer onto your app tape. So what I would do in those circumstances is get your squeegee and rub around the detail to get rid of that little bubble. And what that then does is then gives more surface area to the app tape to take grab. And then turn it over like you would normally from the middle out. Always, always rub on the back last. There you go. And then last but by no means least is the lips. Now when you're transferring this to a wall, you'll see on the demonstration I did with the Crafty vinyl, which is matte free, Smart Machine compatible vinyl, which you can buy for the Joy, you can buy for the Explore, you can buy for the Maker, buy for the Cameo, buy for the Portrait to cut without your mats, but you can also cut it on your normal cutting machine mats too. You'll see in the dog one I did, Let Sleeping Dogs Lie, I did apply it to a wall, so if you need a bit of encouragement then just ask for that as well. Normally you would know where on the wall you want your design. It may be you've got a children's nursery design, you might want to do Easter. See, Oracal 638 is great because you can create Easter designs, leave it for a few weeks on the wall, and when you've had enough you can remove it. School designs, school boards, brilliant for that. So bear that in mind. So now I'm going to create my design on here for you. So these are your lips. And when I'm doing a design with HTV, I like to lay it out before I think about it. So that's now going to stick because I've stuck it that way round. So I have to be really careful because otherwise I'll lose my design. So I'm going to turn it the other way. So now the sticky side, can you see the sticky sides face up? This is a great way of using self-adhesive. I always do it if you see my videos to check my line up before I commit. So there's your lips, there's your cocktail glass. This is going to get difficult because my fingers are going to stick to everything, but these are ideal for using like that. Either your back of your tweezers or the front of your squeegee holds it down, doesn't actually really create any contact to keep it stuck. Then I would put my wording somewhere here, and then I'm going to put my cocktail stick and my lemon that way. But my cocktail stick, if it's too long, I don't panic. Sometimes a cocktail stick can be too long, but actually that one's good, so that's all right. And then I'd work out from there. So that's kind of where my design is going to go. So I'm going to leave those like that, and the first one I'm going to place down is the olive. So I'm going to hold them there, roll it back slightly, and put the olive in place. So very much like the way you did it onto the app tape, you rub backwards and forwards, and that's it. Again, do not rip it up like a plaster. Roll it back. See how I ripped it up? So we ripped it up like a plaster, it brings it with it. If you roll it back on itself, there you go. If you want to, you can use the leather side of your squeegee after you've removed the app tape to burnish it. Do remember, all self-adhesive is pressure activated. So you do need to bear that in mind when you're applying it, because if you don't put any pressure to it with your squeegee, especially the permanent ones, then it won't reach its maximum adhesion. It takes up to 48 hours for self-adhesive to reach its maximum adhesion. So at this point, you'll find it very easy to get your fingers or your tweezers behind it and lift it. But in 2 days' time, it won't be so easy. Okay, so just bear that in mind when you're using it. Now I'm going to put my cocktail glass ready, but I want to use my cocktail stick first, but I want to make sure that's in the right position. So again, put that there. Don't know whether you can hear that meowing, that's my cat outside wants to come in. So that's my cocktail stick. Again, garnish it with your squeegee. Now, have you got any questions on that? Anything you want to know? Is it over? There you go. My fingers are warm tonight. Right, so I don't want the glass under the lips. So the next one I need to apply is the lips. So just gently put that there. I've raised it off the table because I don't want it to stick yet. So I want my lips next. But I want my glass to appear like it's meeting my lips. You don't have to do that, but that's how I want it to look. So that's the next one I put on. Again, from the middle out. This would look great on a young teenage girl's wall of the bedroom. this on a window. Because Oracal, as you can see, is double-sided, you could have that design would look the same on the inside and the outside, so you've got double for the same thing there. Right, and then roll this one back. Don't panic if it lifts. It's really warm in here, so it will lift more than it should. But don't panic if it lifts. Just go back. Ooh, now I'm moving the whole board. There you go. You can see this with metallic vinyl. Do you remember in the self-adhesive box I showed you in the unboxing last night? Not last night, blimey. It feels like it was last night, but it wasn't, last week. There was a blush rose gold holographic. This would look lovely as those lips. Right, and then the cocktail glass next. You can hear I'm rubbing it quite firmly, can't you? Making a table shake. You see, get any air bubbles or any marks, you know, the bits that lift. Just get squeegee, run behind. And remember to keep this app tape and reuse it next time. So I've put mine all to one side, so I'll cover it with the sheet. Really thin, intricate designs really take a little bit extra, so do keep your patience with it. Don't panic if it lifts on the first go, just go back, re-rub it. I'll get my fingers in there. There we go. What that was then, it was a bit of the paper I hadn't cut, well, cut but not took off. If you ever get a bit that lifts, put your tweezer behind it, and then just go back behind. Once you've got it straight, get your squeegee in there. Ooh. Just take a bit of time, put it on right. And then lastly, the words. Now, where are you going to put that? You can put it there, depends what you want your design to be. You can put it there. I fancy it there for those words, for the good times. But then I want guarantee need slightly below. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it. I'm just going to go rogue, do the front top line first, being careful not to touch the bottom line. Ooh. I've flipped it wrong on itself, but don't panic. Just get your tweezers, go in, fix it. If you get a bit of awkwardness, just get your tweezer on the edge, and your tweezer will, I should have let this dry slightly. I can feel this area is slightly damp. rubbing alcohol still. There you go, that one's alright. There you go. So, good times. Get your squeegee, gently rub it. And then once you know it's securely down, give it a good rub with the back of the squeegee to activate the adhesive. And then we'll go for the guarantee need. There we go. So, who does like a martini? What do you reckon? Do you like a martini? Gin's my tipple of choice when I get a moment. Very rare these days, but now, what cut files, what demonstrations would you like to see us do next? Is there a particular time of day that a live is more good to you, that's more interesting? What time would you rather it was on? Is there a particular day that suits you better? Let us know. We're going to do another live next week. I haven't decided yet, so it's down to you. Again, we're giving you the choice. Tell us what time of week, what time of day, what day of the week is better for a live. What demonstration would you like to see next? What products would you like to see next? Is there a particular cut file you'd like us to bring you? You tell us and we'll see what we can do. Now, don't forget, this cut file or cut files are all on the website for you on the blog, as are the instructions. I'll show you in a minute the sample again in case you missed it at the beginning, are the instructions and ingredients list for this design on a t-shirt and a bag. And remember we talked earlier about how to calibrate your machine, how to clean your machine, cut settings. Again, if you'd like that information and you missed that conversation earlier, comment and one of us will pop, either by myself when I finish this live or one of my colleagues who's online tonight will give you the details. And lastly, have you seen the Easter box unboxings we did last week? They're still on our Facebook page from the live. Now remember, if I said to you earlier, get a piece of vinyl, get stuck, don't panic, just get tweezers in there. It's very warm under these lights in here. And there's your design. And last but no means least, get your squeegee and give it a good rub. Any questions? Anything you want to know? Give us a shout. I'd love to hear from you. My team would love to hear from you. Our team would love to hear from you. What cut setting, what cut file, what design, what idea, what inspiration would you like to see next? I'm going to choose the most favourite or the most popular idea. If there's some really good ones, I might choose more than one. So let us know what you would like to see and when you'd like to see a live next. Look forward to seeing you soon, and thanks again. Oh, nearly went, didn't I? Nearly left you high and dry and didn't show you those samples, sorry. So this was the t-shirt design. So this one says good time guaranteed. So you've got both choices in the cut file on that blog. And this was created using our Pearl Shine HTV in the different colours. The full shopping list on the website, on the blog, with the cut files and the full tutorial. And we've even got a video demonstration for you. So that's me for tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you soon. And do let me know what you'd like to see next. Take care now.